Hey CCPS, today is Friday, December 11th, 2020, and there's just a few things going on out there. I want to make sure you have the correct information and some ideas of some things we're thinking about as we move forward. There's been a lot of discussion in the last week or two, and I've gotten a lot of feedback. I know the State Superintendent, Dr. Karen Salmon, as well as the Deputy Health State Officer, Dr. Chan, have made remarks, encouraging school systems to open if at all possible, and certainly I think everybody's aware we have been trying to do that. As recently as the first couple weeks in November, we had as many as 4,000 or 5,000 students in schools every day. And then after the second week in November, it was actually Friday, November 13th, that was the last day we were doing the actual face-to-face instruction. And what I'd like to do is share with you the guidance that the State Department has given us, and that really all 24 counties in the state of Maryland have been following throughout these last 8 to 10 months. So I'd like to start with the COVID-19 guidance for Maryland schools. As you can see on the screen, this document that you see now was actually updated just a few weeks ago, November 13th. And as you can see in this document, on page 2, a schematic or a diagram is there for public view and school system use. And at the top it starts with the testing positivity rate. So of all the people that are tested in a particular county on a day, they look at the number of people who are actually positive. And the benchmark to start this actual graphic is 5%. And for our purposes, if you look at the greater than 5% to the right, just underneath the testing positivity rate blue box, that's where we are. Currently, our positivity rate in the county as of yesterday was 10.6%. So if you follow that down, since we're greater than 5%, you go down to the new case rate. If it's less than 5 per 100,000 people, we are obviously encouraged and we would have hybrid or in-person programs offered. However, if we're greater than 15% per 100,000, then what it's suggesting is that there is limited or no in-person programs. So Cecil County, as of yesterday, is at 50 cases per 100,000 citizens. So we are double the positivity rate and we are triple the new case rate. And subsequently, that is really why we've made the decision to stop all in-person instruction. And it really kind of culminates in the bottom box in the orange center where it says reassess if new case rate goes up 2 per 100,000 or the positivity rate increases 1.5% within a 2-week window. Well, what I'm saying to you is that our numbers have doubled and tripled within a matter just of a few days. So that was really the grounding in the decision in terms of making the ultimate decision to close schools for face-to-face instruction. The last piece of information I'd like you to take a look at real quick is the actual language that comes from the document where it says that schools are expected to follow the applicable guidelines from the Maryland Health Department, the local health department, and the CDC for the safe reopening of in-person instruction, and that each local school system and non-public, in consultation with the local health department, should review the school opening metrics to make the decisions to adjust the in-person educational offerings. And that is exactly what we've done. And so really all we're trying to do at this point is to get the correct information out. I fully understand Dr. Salmon, Dr. Chan's advocacy for bringing students back, and I'm a very strong advocate, and we will bring them back. We simply need to see the numbers begin to trend back down towards 5 and 15. To round out this thinking, the idea of a 5 and 15, we are not going to wait for 4.9 and 14.9. We will work with the local health department, Lauren Levy, and look for the trend data to begin getting close to those numbers again before we start to bring back students for face-to-face instruction. A second piece that's out there that I really think is important for everybody to understand is that the limits that have been placed on us through the CDC quarantine guidelines. If you are within 6 feet of that person for 15 minutes over a 24-hour window, we are supposed to quarantine those people for 14 days. Now, the CDC has just reduced that from 14 days to 10, and it can be 7 days with a negative test. But nonetheless, for many weeks and months, we were operating for a 14-day quarantine based on the CDC guidelines. During the months of September, October, November, we had nearly 500 employees have to quarantine for potential exposure. Between our students and our staff combined, we had nearly 100 positive cases in the school system. So what I'm getting at here is that we have a number of different things that come into this decision, and we're not making these decisions lightly. We really get painted into a corner in terms of whether or not we even can reopen. So I think it's easy for some to say simply reopen schools. But when you take the CDC guidelines on quarantining, the recommended guidelines coming from the Maryland State Health Department, it's not as easy, particularly when you look in our particular instance of a 10.6 positivity rate and 50 cases per 100,000 citizens. So that's kind of where we are. You can certainly reach out to me through email. I'll be glad to get back to you and kind of give you an idea of where we're going. Right now, we will remain in the completely virtual model until January 8th, with our eye on bringing students back on January 11th. And again, that's a goal. If these numbers don't improve, we won't be able to do that. So let's shift gears a little bit. We know that at the end of the first marking period, we had an excessive number of students who simply were failing their classes, is the best way to put it. If it's an elementary school and it's a failure, it's an E. A secondary school is an F. We know the number of students who earned one E or F doubled compared to last year and the prior year for the first marking period. The number of students who had two E's or two F's almost tripled. We know this is a real serious issue. Subsequently, a week or two ago, I directed Dr. Teaglin to assemble a student success task force. She has more than 50 people involved. We have students, we have parents, teachers, administrators, support staff, everybody's included. Their first meeting happened just this past Wednesday, and there's some great dialogue. I sat in for an hour or so, and I'm really optimistic. We hope to bring some recommendations to our Board of Education during the February board meeting. Another piece of information that you'll see in this particular superintendent's update is a decision we've made as it relates to inclement weather. Historically, everybody kind of kept their eye on the forecast. Are we going to get 3 to 5 inches of snow? Will we be closed? Will there be a 2-hour delayed opening? Our position between now and for the remainder of this winter will be that in the event there is snow, we will continue with our virtual model. Now, if we get back to face-to-face instruction, well, then we would certainly look to make adjustments because we have the buses rolling and students going in and out of schools. But for now, as long as we are in a fully virtual instruction model, in the event of snow or inclement weather, we will continue our instruction as usual. The only caveat I would throw out there with that is in the event we were to have a blizzard, something where we had wind and trees being knocked down and power outages across the county, we would certainly cancel instruction for that day. And I know that's kind of not what a lot of people want because of the nostalgia of the snowman during a school day in the backyard playing, those sorts of things. But the good news is that we have several inclement weather days throughout the spring built in. Those would be days that would be off for students and for our 10-month staff as well. Finally, vaccines. We are beginning to get preliminary information on vaccines from the state and local health departments. Educators, teachers will be what we are calling a phase 2 in terms of vaccinations. The local health department will be putting out a survey to all of our staff in the coming days as to whether or not they want the vaccine and those kinds of things. So it's kind of early, but as we move through the winter and get closer to spring, we do expect to see the vaccine become more and more available for everybody. What I would say right now, with the exception of children. This is early information, but we're being told is that we will not be providing vaccines for our students at this time. So that's all I have. That's a lot. Again, I encourage you to reach out to me if you'd like to get more information or have some dialogue back and forth. And thank you for everything and have a great day.